I just got a haircut. Should we go? Hello and welcome to Walk the Talk Show with Waylon Lewis, yours truly, coming to you live from Boulder, Colorado, which is where Rainbeau Mars, my guest, grew up. And I grew up around her. She was way too cool for me at the time. I think I was in a different grade because I was a huge nerd. So we didn't really hang out. But, you know, I worshipped at her feet. And now, 20 years later or whatever, I finally get to feature her on my little talk show. So today is a big day for me, which is why I'm showing more cleavage than Rainbow. So we're here to talk about this wonderful book, then we'll get to that. We're going to talk about a 20-day superstar cleanse, which is the title of the book. But it's a cleanse I think anyone can do, including macho men, as we'll discuss. Yeah, and if you have stuff open, Rainbow, your fans are messaging you constantly, just turn it off. But we start all of these with a bow of mutual respect and appreciation of anyone, viewers, Rainbow, trying to be of benefit in the world. So if you're with us, you can do this bow, and then Rainbow will lead us in a little moment of aspiration or meditation or prayer. I'm not sure what. We'll find out. So if you'd like to join in the bow, you can just take a good posture. You can root your tush in the earth or in your chair. Just kind of ground yourself. You can find your breath. You can connect with the notion of the heavens above, which is the realm of inspiration, mission in life.
I'd like to...
One second, young lady. And then connect with your breath in your heart and give it away in the form of a bow.
In that bowing forward, I'd like to just invite us to think about the hummingbird and how much it goes deep down into the nectar of the flower for the sweetness. And when we can drop our minds into our hearts, that we can embody that sweetness that the hummingbird embodies, which is having its heart as the biggest motivating factor of that little being. And from having our heart big, we have courage, or le coeur, they say in French, the heart, to lead forward with the heart, so that we can suck from the nectar of life and not only embody our being, but also share from our being. So with our shoulders up, back, and down, I invite this courageous, magical potential that we all are to shine forth and be present here and now together.
Well, thank you so much, Rainbow. That was beautiful. Yeah, there's something about, I wanted to make a joke about enjoying liqueur in the morning, but that wouldn't be very meaningful. So, Rainbow, I have to say, you know, knowing you through the years, you know, you're this super talented, like, famous yoga celeb. You're super fabulous, running around in your LA fabulous yoganess. But then I opened up this book, and I was, like, super impressed. This is, like, kind of a nerdy book. Like, it has tons of info on every page. People don't all realize, but you're the daughter of one of the leading herbalists in the world. So you know a lot of stuff. I actually want to read this book, and I'm a big, obviously macho, you know, handsome guy,
Yes.
Clearly very good-looking person, and nevertheless, I feel like I could do this thing. My point, trying to be serious, is like you tell the story about this, you know, this kind of macho, like go-getter business guy who is far from vegan. Your whole cleanse is vegan, right?
Yes. I mean, it's beginner. It's an invitation to do whatever you're doing, only better. So you could do whatever you're doing and incorporate practices from this lifestyle to help you become more open and flexible and awake.
So are you yourself vegan?
I'm not. I consider myself a flexitarian.
Flexitarian meaning you eat whatever you want?
I'm flexible depending on what my body and my being really needs from moment to moment, from day to day. However, I do this program 4 times a year to keep me on track. And I am vegan for very long amounts of time. I just don't necessarily like the definition of it, because it's not really about that. It's really about optimal sense of being for me to eat from what my being needs to thrive at its highest potential.
Right. So can you maybe just walk us through, for those of us who haven't read it, basically how this cleanse works, and is it possible for, normal people?
Well, we're all normal, and there's a potential within all of us that we get to embody. I actually want to go back to your liqueur joke really quick and just say there's this company called Ling that the Tibetans drink that Ling, that bacteria from Tibet, before they meditate and do yoga. So there is some possibilities for us to get into our heart. So as far as normal people, where are normal people at? They're like, I don't know, they're drinking beer still and eating fried chicken or McDonald's. And I want to invite everyone to have something that inspires them in their home, on their desk side, on their tabletop, that where they're feeling like in a slump and they wake up and they feel tired and they're like, okay, well, why is that? I eat whatever I want and I do whatever I want. And you're like, okay, but I want to feel better today. I want to feel clear and more energized. So you can just open the book and go, okay, like, how do I do a superfood beauty smoothie today? Or, maybe today I'm going to eat all live foods and get more energy, more vegan. Maybe I'm going to try an affirmation or a yoga pose. So it is for everybody, and not even excluding children. We actually have an upcoming program that we're doing for kids. Child obesity is such a big issue. So the word cleanse really needs to be defined, and thinking that it's like, oh, I can't do a cleanse because I have to drink green juices for 21 days. And that's not at all what this is about. So to answer your question, it's for everybody, kids, parents, even pregnant women.
So, just some, there's so much in your book. It's kind of like an encyclopedia in one book. But you talk about what you just said, that it's not a cleanse in the sort of restrictive sense, right?
Yeah, it's a rejuvenation program to replace your sort of the habits that might be leading you down one direction into a place of suffering and darkness, into another one that is more happy, that is more, it's more about thriving and realizing, and that you can have all sorts of things where beauty and indulgence coexist. I mean, the funniest thing about these programs is when I'm on it and I'm eating like coconut cream pies or like a chocolate. I just had chocolate ice cream. I'm actually doing the cleanse right now, but it was made from coconut and there was peanut butter in it because week one's a bit of a cheat week. If you really follow the program. If you really follow the program, there's a beginner's, intermediate, and advanced level. So there's a way that anyone can sort of track in on where they're at. What were you going to say?
Well, no, I think that's great. I always, gravitate toward the beginner's level and then try and, cut out all the hard stuff that's in the beginner's level. So that's helpful.
Well, and then when you find that you're starting to feel better each time that you do it, you might take on a new habit. You might get a little bit clearer, but just to kind of go back, people will be like, oh no, I can't eat sugar. And maybe, maybe they can't, maybe they're having some candida cleanse and they feel like they can't eat sugar, but the problem is deeper. It's really about, we can enjoy foods that taste really good. We do, though, have to let go of some of the foods that are coagulating in our organs. It's important to reset our system so that we can operate at a higher sort of vibration and be able to enjoy everything we're putting in our mouth. And it can taste good and be good for us. So I really would like to redefine, this thing that it has to be a negative thing. However, replacing what you're addicted to and what you're habitually eating, like French fries, and continuing to say, okay, for the next few weeks I'm going to have maybe baked sweet potato fries. That's going to be the week one. Or instead of like pizza with sausage and lots of amounts of cheese, I'm going to have vegan pizza. And then maybe week two I try eating, this would be more intermediate and advanced, I'll try eating live pizza, like not even cooked, and I'll use, a nut cheese. And then week three, the potential of week three is blending it. So that's always gets people, but it's like still the same amount of calories. You're still getting everything you need, but what you feel off of week three, if you do follow the whole program, is like a superhero. And my meditations, I'll say the first time I did this program, I was never really able to meditate at all. And the second that I started letting go of all of that acidic and mental tension and all the time that I was taking to digest my food, to drink the coffee, to get over what I had just eaten. And then when I finally let all of that go, I finally was like, whoa, I can just sit here. You know, I know that you're a big meditator. So I found so much clarity in this process. So even though anyone can do it, I also would like to invite everyone to, you know, little by little approach themselves and do it in 21 waves, 21-day waves. And then, you know, if you're not on the program, have a beer, eat some pizza, have caramel popcorn, but to keep inviting yourself to become the better version of yourself.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of work still, but I'm interested in the beginners thing.
Okay, I'll back it up.
Yeah, I mean, I just, you know, I think for a lot of us, we kind of are so busy, which is a sort of self-perpetuating state of mind, that the notion of like figuring out how to blend a live pizza or something sounds
disgusting.
Well, it sounds weird, but it also just sounds like it's different. So, you know, I'd have to prepare, and it would take time. And
well, like you live in LA. We're so lucky that we live in America because there are. I mean, you can go to Whole Foods and there's like the live cheesecake that's like nuts, just blended. It's already blended. So again, that is the more advanced level. It's like how much do you want to experience the benefits and to what degree. However, you're right. Many of my clients and friends have done it at a beginner's level, and for a lot of people, eating vegan for 3 weeks and not having caffeine. I know you drink coffee, so like switching to chai or not having maybe fried foods,
yeah,
or not having you know, just not having cheese, having alternatives. Day is a really good alternative. Just trying out alternatives, and then maybe you do that. You do the food thing like at that rate, and then you also think, okay, am I reading junk food magazines, or am I engaging in toxic relationships? You know, can I practice affirmations or mantras? Maybe, you know, little by little. I don't think of it as difficult. I'm so grateful for the program because it keeps me on track, because I'm not the best yoga student or like enlightenment student in the world. Like I love to indulge, and so it allows me to kind of come back, and like my handstands I owe to this program. Like they don't come because I practice harder. They come because I let go of the stuff that is kind of keeping me distracted, and that all the egos that are constantly wanting me to kind of live at a sea level. It brings me back to what I'm fully my potential.
Yeah.
And so you do it way. It's not that big of a deal. Hi.
Yeah. Well, it was breaking up a little bit, but I think I got the gist of it. So you have some notion here that you're like challenging. This is a timely one for a lot of the women and a couple of the guys out there, challenging the idea of bikini ready. What's that all about?
Okay, well, it's time to get bikini ready. The springtime is really the time that we naturally cleanse. You know, this is when the nature provides fruits and flowers, and we look all around, and it's really beautiful. And it's also our time to be our most beautiful. It's the time to burst forward our more virtuous selves. When you do have to look at yourself in a bikini, you have to be more aware of, okay, what am I really putting in my body, and how is it showing up on me? I gave myself a good look in a bikini yesterday, and it was like, okay, it inspires me to do the program. I mean, every single time the program works, when I actually do it, and eating 100% live foods, if that is as much as we go, and you don't even worry about the blending, actually gives all of your body the light that it needs, and the rejuvenation qualities to support your organs and to clear out whatever toxins you might have been eating a month ago. So that almost sounds deep, but
so can I ask a couple kind of dumb questions, but maybe other people have the same questions? So live foods, I assume, doesn't mean you're trying to like take a bite out of a pig that's walking around. Like, what is a live food?
Well, live foods mean foods that are simply not dead. So it's fresh, it's new, it's alive, but you can still cook with things like marinating, massaging, just like you cook ceviche. People cook ceviche with lemon, olive oil, and cilantro and jalapeno. You can still do that with your food. I'll marinate, you know, kale salad's the big thing because it's always being sold out. Everyone's eating kale. So massaging your kale with lemon, olive oil, and sea salt, that is a form of cooking. You're marinating, you're blending, you're putting things in the dehydrator, but you're not killing them. So what your cells are getting are the sparks of life. The yogis say, when you're wanting food, you're actually wanting the fire or the light that's in the plant, that's in the food. And if it's devoid of fire, if it's devoid of light, all you're getting is more darkness often. It smells good when you're cooking food because the nutrients are leaving the food. So it's really an incredible thing to eat 100% live for just a day. I mean, you could do the program and not do that at all, but I want to encourage you that if you really want to get bikini ready and to feel more free and more open, you'll eat foods that are free and open instead of dead, fried, microwaved, baked, toasted, and like who knows how long it's just been. And when we eat foods that are really dead, we feel dead, and we don't feel as confident when we're at the beach. We feel more separate from nature. But if you eat foods that are in nature, you feel more harmonious and you feel more free, and like it's easier to skinny dip in the ocean, even if you do it under a full moon and no one is there. These are the types of things that I feel awakened to when I am eating live foods.
Well, I think I'm a big fan of you feeling awakened to skinny dipping at night. If you can just maybe like tweet out, when and where, that would be awesome. And then I had another dumb question, which was, toxins. I feel like yoga teachers and boulder types and Whole Foods types are always talking about toxins, and I kind of don't really know what they're talking about. I mean, are we talking about like heroin, or are we talking about caffeine, or
Well, I mean, just to touch on coffee for a second, there's 154 chemicals that are being sprayed in the coffee plant, not to mention taking those beans and they roast it, and roasting it is really, it is kind of toxic. And once you put it, one of the reasons why it makes people go to the bathroom is because your liver is trying to get all that stuff out of you as quick as possible. So I'm not saying, I like a good cup of coffee. I mean, I try to do organic or, not roasted, but I want you to consider that even if you eat a perfectly organic diet, there are toxins in the air that we breathe. There's toxins in the thoughts that we think. So we tend to accumulate these things, and then all of a sudden, our lymph nodes have not had a chance to ever let go. So what happens in a detox, for instance? First, when your colon gets cleared, then your organs release. When your organs release, your bloodstream releases. When your bloodstream releases, your lymph nodes release. Okay, those are the 4 steps. So for preventative medicine,
I don't know what 3 of those steps are, but
okay. So let's say you've never done a cleanse, you've never taken time to kind of give back to your body. Then over time, even if you eat kind of healthy, I eat grass-fed beef and I eat organic coffee and I have, I'm eating good quality. Things like this do tend to accumulate in our system. Animal products are the only place that you can find cholesterol. So cholesterol in itself, like avocado and coconuts, nuts, those plant-based sorts of fats, do not have cholesterol in them. To talk about a pig walking by, no, this program is a vegan program just because we don't, the planet will not sustain itself if we move in more towards the paleo diet, even though grains and breads do tend to have more yeast and mold in them. I do not disagree with that, but if we all were eating meat 3 times a day, not only could the planet not sustain itself, factory farming is one of the biggest sources of greenhouse gases, but also our physical body. It's hard.
Well, Rainbow, in the introduction to your book, your buddy Woody Harrelson wrote the foreword, and he mentioned, I think he's vegan, he mentioned 18 billion animals are getting killed every year. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's, even if we don't view animals as having equal rights as human beings, that's quite a number. I want to use the word, Holocaust. I mean, it's a pretty shocking number. And I think you're right on about factory farming being, even if we're not vegan, if we can avoid factory farmed animals and meats.
I mean, I know this group is a little bit already the converted. That's why I'm just trying to, I guess I don't have to start at ground zero with everyone here. And I know that we all mostly eat grass-fed stuff and all that if you do eat animal products. But I would still like to invite you to not eat animals for a few weeks, a few times a year, and just see what happens and see if you could sustain yourself without them. And then secondly, let your organs give them a break so that you can actually have preventative medicine, so that you don't find yourself in the hospital even though you ate tons of greens and salads. If you're not truly doing a cleanse, sometimes your organs are not able to process what is congested in the lymph nodes. And this could be radiation from the EMFs, your cell phone. It could be from your computers. We are living in a time that we did not used to. be in. And these are the toxins that accumulate in our system that we have to process. We have to take the time, just like in our house for spring cleaning, we have to give our bodies that some break. Otherwise, we will start to age. And I'll say in finality to this thought process is if you want to know what your past is, look at your face. And if you want to know what your future is, look at your thoughts. Even if you do the program and you change your diet, not at all. There's still the invitation for daily mantras and affirmations, and there's still a way to be more virtuous and have a better.
And I'm someone, I mean, partially because we've known each other for a long time, I really wanted to like roll my eyes at your affirmations and stuff, but I found them really, we have a sort of brotherly, sisterly relationship. I really enjoyed them, actually. I felt like, there's a lot of like affirmations and mantras and stuff like that, but there's also a lot of yoga sequences and, turn off your electric stuff at night. Like it's a whole range of kind of advice, all of which I found pretty accessible. And there's tons of, there's tons of photos of you. So it's kind of like a picture book.
I'm kind of over the cover, but I am proud of the book. I mean, I wouldn't have put as many pictures of me personally, but it's kind of like, I guess you feel like if you can accept me as your friend, it's the best way for me to have an invitation that I really can support you through the process when you are willing to take it on. Even if you have it in your house, I hope it inspires.
I think this should have been the cover, Rainbow. Those. Can you see those?
Yeah, that's hilarious. So anyway, it inspire you for that process so that you don't feel that lack of support. So you could read it for 30 minutes a day and you could stay on track, even though your egos might want to keep you away from your true potential. Keep coming. You can do your best version of yourself for 21 days.
Well, you told that beautiful and very simple story about a client of yours who lost 22 pounds, and he was like a rocket. He was like not a cleanse kind of guy. Do you want to maybe tell us that story so people understand it is accessible?
Yeah, well, just kind of what you were saying, where the way that I'm speaking of it might sound complex and it might still feel complicated for people, but it's really not that difficult. You don't have to make a bunch of your own food. You can, we do have stores that we can go to and just choose vegan options for 3 weeks. And even doing that alone, this mogul that I was teaching that, was eating sushi every day at a very expensive place where they had even a pot with his name engraved, like you spend enough money where you think he's eating really fancy, but then he started doing this cleanse, and after 4 times of doing it, his cholesterol was cut to 75% of what it was before, and so more than half. And so the doctors took him off half, and within another 6 months, he can go off of the medicine at this point. I think he's still taking like a fourth of it. He also lost 22 pounds, and he just felt so he was not able to breathe in the beginning when I met him. He couldn't take a full deep breath. There was a situation of acid reflux. So it's not that he doesn't eat fish or doesn't eat animal products when he's not doing the program, but he commits to doing it now 4 times a year, and he's just become younger as he's become older, and all of his staff, that's why, because he's the leader of at a very big company, so everyone who works for him just has watched him become so healthy that they all have the book and are following along, doing their best to join us in the next programs.
That's cool. Yeah, he had this great comment that was so sort of childlike. I loved it, where he said, "I can't wait for tomorrow because I'm getting better looking every day."
Totally. And just on that subject, there's also, there's the kids that we're doing a kiddie cleanse, which would seem so controversial, just saying that like, oh, but kids can't cleanse. They're supposed to eat whatever they want. But with child obesity being such a big factor and saying, oh, kids don't, you let kids start to eat healthy when they're, after they've already created a lifetime of addiction to make, well, I won't say any, to any fast food chains. Right. It's really important that you allow them to know that there are alternatives that they enjoy. My daughter can make 5-course healthy meals. She makes smoothies and she puts avocados in it. I'll come in and there's like a vegan pizza made, and I'm like, you did this all on your own? Like, there's tons of easy foods. You probably wouldn't do the liver kick, which is like in the book, this, the first thing in the morning instead of coffee. That rude awakening in the morning, we start off by giving to our livers by drinking, a lemon juice option. We have lemon juice. I won't go. I'll have you get the book for that. But there are 3 options. So so the kids version, which might be appropriate for many adults, is things like, yes, eating vegan for 2 weeks, incorporating more live foods, having more smoothies, and just eating all vegan. Find out what is available to you that you like. Instead of getting a regular ice cream bar, maybe having coconut ice cream that is available to you instead of using mozzarella cheese from some cow that probably has hormones and antibiotics shot into it. Trying an alternative. I am a big fan of Daiya. They're not paying me, but it's arrowroot, and I think that it melts really incredible. So some of the cheeses don't do the job. So you just have to know, and that's what we've done. We've spent the years researching what works, especially with kids. Like I have 2 god kids. One is the star of that show, Believe, and she loves donuts, and she loves a lot of things. And whenever she's with me, we just find these alternatives to what will they eat, even when they're addicted to the frappuccinos right now. And so we do it with the decaf and the soy milk, and there's just something for everyone, even whatever has been very commercialized and made cool. What can you do for like a 2-week period? If we learn now as kids, or as maybe a big kid that has never gone through this possibility, can you change your life for 2 weeks? Better if it's 21 days, because it takes 21 days to make or break a pattern. That's why like week 1 in our book is really sort of, for me it's like a cheat week. It's like fun. I'm like having like vegan cupcakes and like going out and having I say you can drink top shelf tequila or organic wine. So I'm like, oh, well, it's week 1, so I'm having like a little sipper possibly. So but then those next 2 weeks, it's like, let me take it a step further and let me really see what it would be like to to do even better. So for big kids, can you not do chemicals for 3 weeks? Fried foods are the hardest on our organs. They create free radicals in our liver, and they're not the free radicals in the 60s. These are like free radicals that are cancer-causing agents. So these are the types of toxins that are in our system that if we don't spend the time to readdress, just like our house, it won't be a place that we want to live in. We'll want to move. But the problem is we can't move out of our bodies, at least in this lifetime. So at least we got to learn to clean it up regularly.
Yeah. Well, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm not someone who actually really cares about wellness that often. I care about our environment and I care about animals, but I think this is like a good kind of starting point for me to maybe begin to care a little bit more about my my health, I guess. From a Buddhist point of view, we're always, we accept the fact that we're getting old and we're dying. We're not trying to fight aging. But I think taking care of this precious body so we can be of service is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Rainbeau Mars. You're a star. Anytime you want to be on the show, you're a delight.
I thought we were going to talk about like the yoga community and about why this happened, my upbringing. So if we just want to talk about the book, we can. But it just feels like I feel like it was a commercial.
Well, I think it's a commercial for wellness, so I don't really mind that. You have not been that self-promotional, so I think it's great. We have plenty of people come on hawking products at me. This just feels really meaningful. But let's talk about the yoga community, and let's talk about your upbringing. So you grew up in Boulder, Colorado. Your mom, Brigitte Mars, who I love, I see her around, famous herbalist. What else is going on? You had some history of drug use, which I didn't even know about. I'm shocked.
I just want to say that I have spent my lifetime, the reason why this program has come about is because I've spent my lifetime really healing from all the distractions and the detours of self-love. And even though I grew up in Boulder with my mom being very knowledgeable about plants and medicine, I grew up as a product of the free love sort of movement. And this is something that not everyone knows about me that was really very challenging. There was a lot of, yes, attention to like God, or I do believe in fairies and I do believe in angels, but there wasn't like the real important stuff, like how to learn how to balance a checkbook. And I did start vacating myself at a young age because my mom knew so much about health. I would do alcohol and get into clubs out over there in Boulder, and I don't think that I had accumulated a lot of self-love, and I created some chaotic dramas. And so this program or everything else didn't it started to come about when I was 20 and had already accumulated like so much suffering really truly suffering. And when people think, oh, you were raised like that, so that was easy, I really didn't. I mean, I would take my $20 that of allowance and like go to whatever convenience store I could and buy all the candy bars on the shelf and even Doritos and tomato soup, because that wasn't something that we had in our house. And I wasn't the healthiest like teenager. I was pretty, but I wasn't healthy. And my health really was suffering until I started uncovering the knowledge that I was around but didn't access. And so it started with physical health and learning about foods and making myself food, and then live foods, and then it did become more into spiritual health, which is now a path that I'm on of why this book is about more than just food. It's virtues and practicing. For instance, you can practice yoga without ever getting on the mat, but just being compassionate or loving or maybe even chaste in some ways. You know, there's a lot of chaste in a sense. I will just say that to push a button, but there was a lot of things that were creating a lot of suffering in my life because I was raised in a place that, in a way that was not giving me true self-love and embodiment of what the yoga path has the potential to do. So food, asana is an aspect of it, but then the virtues, like really practicing more virtue, has been a path that I've been on my whole life.
Yeah, I love that. So I didn't really, I knew you in like junior high, but after that I had moved away. So I didn't really know you during that period. I wasn't really aware until it was in my notes today to talk about, even though we've hung out over the years. But we haven't been talking about your like partying in the crazy Boulder clubs with lots of drugs. And by the way, I can't really think of any Boulder clubs. We don't really have clubs. We have like cafes and yoga studios.
No, I mean, I lived in Hawaii when I was 15, but yes, I got into every Boulder club, and I was given free chemicals and drugs since the time I was probably 14. And I mean, I modeled, so I go down to Denver, and I would get, free beer there, and I got a tattoo at 15 with a photographer. And I mean, I don't know where my parents really were. I think my mom was busy sharing herbal advice to the local community. But
I was making like dandelion root salads, and you're off like, taking E and like partying with photographers 4 times your age.
Way too many of all of that stuff. And then I moved, I went to Hawaii, same thing. I had major, I just had a lot of stuff I had to work through, and that's where this came about. It's not me trying to preach something that's like, okay, this is the right way that you don't know about. It's like, this is what has saved me. I actually have already, my drug quota is like maxed out. Like, as soon as I would love it if I could have afforded to take more, but my physical body is like, my organ system is like, no. And the reason why I've been able to sort of get my health back is because of this program. And then,
so Rainbow, can I ask a serious question? So your mother is so healthy and inspiring to so many people, but as so many teenagers are, you kind of rebelled against that and kind of went the opposite direction. How are you now as a mother with a young daughter instilling health and wellness in her in a way that isn't oppressive?
Well, health and wellness is where it's a very important, I think, yogic subject to eventually to be part of the conversation in the yoga community, is that health and wellness is very limited when you're not involving the practice of virtue, or I think sexuality is very important. My stepfather was busy cheating on my mom, so or vice versa, I don't know, practicing free love. So I would say that was a huge part in my feeling like
free radicals, those goddamn free radicals messing everything up.
I don't know where they were. So yes, my mom was at the health food store. I know where she was. But as far as going to my daughter, I would say there's a difference, because even though I'm supporting her in health and we're eating healthy food, she did have a grass-fed burger the other day with her friend, and she knows the difference.
Mars did?
No, my daughter.
Your daughter. Sorry. I was like, wow, I want to tweet that.
She knows she knows what it takes to become more beautiful, and we talk about that. Eating chia seed pudding and eating kale salads and eating fresh fruits. She'll find a blackhead on her face and she'll go, oh, I gotta eat watermelon today. I need to eat more kale salad. And she's why? So it's one thing telling people to eat it, it's telling people why. Oh, your skin really will be brighter. Your hair will really be cleaner. She just got voted the strongest, stronger than pretty much every boy but 2 boys in her class and all the girls. And she's eating like chia, you know, daily chia, mama chia, and the kale salad. So she isn't like a strict. I don't force her to eat only this stuff. But what she is getting is I'm married to someone who is a business manager who's incredibly, you know, I'm just providing a good example for her, and I'm not off like being like a butter. Anyway, I don't want to judge my mom because she was amazing, but I think that
No,
the
of
big
course.
thing to do as parents is be
Yeah.
present with kids.
But
But
I think it's tough for, sorry, the audio is a little off, but it's tough for so many parents. I think you care deeply, or your mother did, about some subject, and you, whether it's football or chia seeds, you're like pushing it on your kids, and
yes,
then they run off and they want to be like a, you know, dancer in ballet instead of a football player, or they want to like eat Doritos and Jolly Ranchers or whatever you bought at 7-Eleven instead of dandelion, whatever.
it was funny because I said, well, my daughter won't be able to rebel because I am preppy. We are successful. I am a flower child. Like I'm all of those things, so she can't rebel unless she goes punk. And of course, last year, the kid who loved her is Landon Barker, who's Travis Barker's kid. And all
I
of a
don't know
sudden,
who Travis Barker is, by the
like
way.
Blink 182, who's a vegan, who I love him. So anyway, all of a sudden I'm like, okay, sure, you can go to a Blink 182 concert. And I'm looking at the video later, and I'm like, oh my God, like my daughter was fully in like a punk rock. She was wearing studs to school. So, you know, I think if you allow them to do it, I don't think that we can create a rigidity around it. I think that if we lead by example, I think she sees who I'm becoming because of the hard work, the spiritual work, which I do want to get into that one other subject because I find it so important, but it takes spiritual work. I don't think spirituality is about, you know, doing a yoga class occasionally and eating live foods. It is more than that, and it's psychological. But
Well,
so
let's talk about, so what's this, since you're guiding the entire course of this conversation, what is the other thing you'd like to be talking about?
I find it. I've been disappointed to experience. You know, like the vegan community, they're really supportive of their own. They're really supportive when someone comes out with a vegan cleanse, whether it's PETA, whether it's, you know, anything like that. The
Yeah.
yoga community, interesting enough for me, has been the most like elitist community that I've experienced, and
Yeah.
not. But it's really. I think it's a conversation that I'm sure you examine and you talk about,
Oh,
and so
yeah.
I'm trying to explore why that is because
The
obviously.
vegan community, I'll say it so you don't have to, but you pretty much did. The vegan community makes like, I wanted to say terrorists, but I'll take it down a notch. The vegan community makes like, you know, rugby and football fans look like pacifists. The vegan community is so aggressive.
Mm,
And I am generalizing, but those who are most vocal in the vegan community are their worst advertisers. And I am a vegan, but seeing vegans attack people constantly on Elephant in Facebook comments and on blogs, it's vegans need to like meditate or something, because veganism is fundamentally about non-aggression, right? It's fundamentally about not fucking shit up. Sorry if your daughter's in the room,
yeah.
but you know, vegans are kind of jerks often.
Yeah,
And
I thought the
not
opposite.
was that?
Well, I thought the opposite. I feel that the yogis need to meditate more.
Well, the yogis are the most self-aggrandizing, egotistical community in America. But they're not as aggressive as vegans. Yoga people are just kind of fabulous and super self-obsessed. We're fine to get our plastic containers with our smoothies and then trash plastic. We don't care about anything except for our yoga butts, pretty much.
Well, no, but what is up with the yoga community that is so, and maybe it's just a few particular yoga bloggers online, but like where they're so rude about, you know, one yoga person doing videos or this yoga person having a book or commercializing. I just, I'm baffled by the amount of negativity that I've seen from people that they have the yoga blogs. And I just am wondering if we're all truly practicing yoga. I know for myself, having been the face of Adidas, when I could put my feet behind my head, and
Wait, how do you say Adidas normally?
I still can. Adidas is how you
Yeah, I
really
love
say.
that. Adidas.
I was the furthest that I could possibly be from being enlightened, because I think there's a yoga ego that happens when you do yoga a lot and you're more flexible than others or whatever that is.
I
And
wouldn't know. Yeah.
No, but I find that that creates a sense of I must be more enlightened. I don't know. I just want to invite the yoga community out there to really realize that there are 6 billion people on the planet, and like if we truly want to see a change on the planet, that's so monumental that we look at the similarities within each other, that we have compassion, that we practice our virtues, that we practice charity, that we practice love for each other, and we work together as a team and supporting a possibility of a yoga lifestyle for the planet, and that there is no separation, there's no competition, there's no mind, and there's no pointing the finger at other people that are doing it in their way, and they might actually have a job or make a living at it. Like, I feel like we could use a little more ahisma and non-harm for each other.
So
That's
do you want to point the finger at those who are not doing that? Would
No,
that
I
be
want to
good?
point my finger at myself and be
Yeah.
the
Well
cause
done.
of saying, what is it that I'm being that is at times not truly a yogi? I don't even consider myself a teacher. I consider myself a practitioner. But how has this happened? Where did we go wrong? What is the root of where we forgot to really do what it is about, which is union? So it's not just union with ourselves, but within each other. And if
Yeah.
I can be the cause in creating a more unanimous, supportive, collective community that people do not feel that we are snobs or elitists, but they feel inspired to take on this practice as far as it being a gift in their life. I support that cause for us all being the cause of that.
I mean, well said. I think, to be a little more charitable myself and a little more, a little larger context, I think the yoga community, which I am a part of in some way, I did yoga yesterday, so I'm good, um, is, an incredibly powerful and exciting community, but often it's very inward focused about me and my
Hmm.
happiness. And I think, the easiest way, as they say in Buddhism, if you want to be happy, is to extend yourself and think of others first. And, if you want to be unhappy and miserable, you can obsess about yourself. So if the yoga community can begin to be more environmentally responsible, yesterday in yoga, I probably saw like 20 disposable plastic bottles in there. And also, social action, caring more about others in your community in LA or wherever you live. You don't even have to be, off the mat like we had Sean Corn on recently. That's wonderful and inspiring, but we can all do more in our daily lives just to be kind, as you were saying. So I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah. So that was really what I'm so glad that we got to touch on, and what I'm advocating, and it's just it's the virtues. There are many, many virtues, and the Buddhists say we have 80,000 egos, 80,000 detrimental aspects of our psyche that are trying to sabotage from being yogis. And I feel that yogis is
Yeah.
something that we all are. And if we're practicing, all the virtues, just keep practicing them, being kind to the earth, being kind to others,
Yeah.
and do it even when you're not on the mat. And therefore, we can grow. We can grow the potential that we're all creating. That you've been such an integral, important, fundamental part of this out of Boulder, Waylon. So thank you for all that you're sharing and bringing and keeping it real with us. And I just, I got your back in however I can be a friend and support the
Yeah.
LA
Well,
Wayland community.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for that. That's very sweet. I mean, I've always been a big fan of you because I feel like I think you probably get, I don't know what you're really referring to with the yoga blogger criticism, but you're always kind of out there and kind of fabulous and very LA. You're very rainbow, and I feel like people love to be jealous and criticize, but you're also just a big sweetie, and I'm really impressed by this book. Whoever wrote it did a great job. I know, I just wanted to tease you. There's a lot less typos in there than I'm used to when in your emails, but just a
Thank
little.
you. I'm working on that. That's why I have to have a team. I definitely had an editor. I'm not a great editor. I always had an A in creative writing in school, but like a C in English. I just create my own rules, and that's something that is probably a virtue, to play by the rules. Where there is chaos, there is ego, and it's a consistent process for all of us
Hmm.
to begin is to continue to. So the virtues are humility, their compassion, their love, their chastity, their charity, their diligence, and intelligence. So really, us practicing all, to expand those spectrums in all directions and to keep working on ourselves. This to me is a yogic path to really brighten ourselves like the rays of the sun at our center and realize that we can be that change in which we want to see in the world from within. But it's going to be more than just an asana practice, but in all directions, and us really shining our light so that we are all powerful, leading this yogic path. We could actually see a shift on the planet, and so it takes all of us.
I love it. I think you just wrapped it. So Rainbeau Mars, thank you so much. Check out her book if you like. Love yourself, and most importantly, follow me on YouTube.com/Waylon H. Lewis and SoundCloud. And Rainbeau, anytime you want to come back on, it would be fun to have you and your daughter on. We could do like a cooking show or something, especially if you're in Boulder, that's easier. All right, Rainbeau Mars, thank you so much.
And I'm going to be in Boulder when you're gone. Safe travels. Next month.
Thank you. Yeah, well, we'll make it happen.
Okay, bye.
All right.